when both Tom and Giselle are making the kind of money they're making and have been for quite some time, what does supportive look like at that?
Yeah, Tom Brady and Giselle is Giselle Bundchen is who they're talking about.
Point.
Well, I think
how much more support does he have to like?
It's not about him supporting her. Like it's not about that. It's about that she's being framed in a way where she's not being supportive of his career because he wants to go off and do this, and she wants him to stay home. She's being framed as a way as her not being supportive. Do you think that the divorce has anything to do with him wanting to continue to play football? I don't know enough about it, and that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not commenting on that.
That's irrefutable. Yes, it definitely does. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right, so apparently Tom Brady and Giselle Bundchen divorced, right? And the reason they divorced is because Tom wants to continue to play football. So what's the point? The point is, it's Samson, cut your hair, and if you don't cut your hair, I'll divorce you, right? That's effectively what the situation is. Now, I'm here to tell you that if you cut your hair, if you let Delilah cut your hair, it's done.
I don't really know enough about, like, I don't want to comment on it if I don't personally have the knowledge of it. Okay.
Classic girl stuff.
What I am aware of is what you got. You know.
She is the one that filed. So let's just.
Oh, look at that! What a surprise! 80% of divorces are initiated by women, by the way. So, what a surprise.
Fair enough. So she's not happy with some of these things. So fine, whatever. Like, that's not what I'm really trying to hit.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's holding like the frying pan in the air, like, Tom, come back here so I can hit you. That's not what he's saying. What I am saying is that I think it's very, very, like, within extreme levels of reasonable behavior for a 45-year-old man who makes $40 million a year to continue to work.
I'm not talking about him or what he decided to do. I'm not talking about that at all.
And she does not believe that's within reasonable behavior, so she has divorced him.
How do you?
Yeah, that's nuts. That's actually crazy. Like, so she doesn't want her husband to work because reasons. And again, no fault divorce. So girls can divorce you for any reason. Even if you're a good man, even if you're a good provider. And Tom Brady is a, like, you know, religious good man. He's like, you know, the kind of man that maybe Americans, you know, tout as being a good man. Right? But even he got divorced. So what does that say about the average man?
Maybe because they talked about it and agreed upon something, especially if this is his second time trying to retire, and the second time he came back from retirement didn't really tell her.
Yeah, and what if they had a commitment? What if he had committed her?
That's what I feel like.
What if he was like, you know what, I'm going to stay home, and then does that, and then she finds out this way, and she's like, oh fuck it, okay, and then she works with him through that, and then he does it again.
They're not the priority. His family
and then
football's
she's just
priority.
like, you know what?
Yeah, that's why Giselle got with him, because football is the priority, because he's literally a living legend. So you can't have it both ways. I mean, you can in 2023. You can totally have it both ways. You can, you know. Have the literal apex man, one of the best, you know, one of the best men to ever play football in human history, right? You can have that and still divorce him and get cash and prizes, right? That's 2023. You can have your cake and eat it too. Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. If you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon with exclusive content. Newly revamped, posting weekly content, patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just go there and subscribe. Again, it's patreon.com/theheliosblog. You can also drop me a donation like Adrian R or Tom M. Shout outs to you guys. Again, link is in the description. Let's continue.
I'm not going to do this anymore. And then she's not supportive. Like, get the fuck out of here.
She's not the priority.
She's not supportive. The priority is football. She should be taking care of the children. What's wrong with that? You know, like, the guy makes $40 million a year and she's still not happy. Tom should have just married a civilian. He shouldn't have married a model. That's the problem, I think. She thinks she's bigger than her britches. She thinks that she's better than she is because, you know, she got like the greatest attention that a girl can ever get as a really attractive model when she was younger. And so she believes she's all that in a bag of potato chips. And that's the problem.
Why would she be supportive any further?
His legacy is the priority.
That is true.
It's true, but like, my God, it can end here, but it doesn't have to.
She can continue.
There's another dynamic at play that we're not hearing about.
She can continue to chase her pursuits, and he can't. That's what's different. You cannot.
But she hasn't in 13 years. What's the last project that Giselle has done in a big way?
Giselle has makeup and clothing lines. She's just because she's not.
Because that's what a stay-at-home mom does.
That what? No. A stay-at-home mom doesn't have multiple businesses and be a boss babe. A stay-at-home mom takes care of the children and is supportive and pleasant and submissive and cooperative and keeps herself in shape. What is this girl talking about? And yeah, no, it's absolutely true. It's a respect thing. You mean like what? So Giselle can continue to work and her husband, because Giselle said so, he can't? And if he refuses to listen, then it's a divorce? What is that? Who's the dominant and who's the submissive? Imagine treating a living legend, one of the best men in history, like that. I mean, in athletic history, obviously.
When you have that kind of money and fame, you know?
But what I'm saying is it inherently is not the same thing when he does not stop her from pursuing her designs, and he has stopped.
That's right.
She has stopped him. Here's the other thing. When he is 65 years old, guess what he can't do?
Yeah.
He cannot play quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But he can do this today, and he's not kind of good at it. Now, obviously, in the last couple of weeks, he's been terrible. But when the season started, he is terrific at his job, and that's the only thing I'm saying. For what their decisions were about this thing, I do think it's a little bit unfair where she can choose to chase her designs on life, and he cannot choose to chase his. And he has a finite career, and she can continue to sell clothing, she can continue to sell makeup, and she can continue to model. He has not stepped in the way of her doing that at all.
So Jamie,
I feel like he went back on his
Jamie,
word.
are they weren't an ideal match? Is that what we're getting here? He picked the wrong girl. Is that?
That's my opinion. My opinion is that he should have married a less attention-seeking boss babe. That's the choice. That's the point. That's the idea. Like, if you pick an attention-seeking boss babe for your wife, it's gonna be a divorce. Like with a 99% chance, even if you're Tom Brady. So, guys, like, again, how can a person recommend marriage in 2023? When this kind of stuff happens, how can a person recommend it? You can't recommend it. It's a disaster.
Is that what happened?
No, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. Like, what I'm saying is that that's why most relationships fail. Okay, like it is. And I'm not.
Because the girl doesn't do what the guy wants, and she holds him at threat point, and when he doesn't, then she divorces him. Yeah, you're right. That is why. Because in 2023. Marriages are so skewed in women's favor that they can literally get away with this garbage. That's allowed in 2023. You can literally have one of the living legends of sport, and if he doesn't listen to boss babe wife anchor, then he gets divorced. You see what I'm saying? And as a quarterback, you're basically a general, so you're used to being in charge. So imagine, you're in charge everywhere in life. You're a living legend. People greet you and look up to you and basically worship you everywhere you go. But your wife orders you around. Is that the kind of marriage you guys want? Is that the kind of situation you guys want? It's a travesty. It's a disaster.
Not like changing my opinion on that. Like, I feel like most people do really pick the wrong person now.
Most women, yeah, because again, they sleep around with Chad when they're between 18 and 28, not thinking about the future, destroy their ability to pair bond, and after that, no guy is good enough. That's right. She's right.
Sometimes in relationships, you might find an equal match, right?
Yeah, because equal partnerships are the kind of relationships that you want to be in, right? Right? I apologize that I keep pausing like really quickly, but she's saying so many points that need to be refuted. Sorry. Needs to happen.
Let's say that they would be a pretty equal match, right? That doesn't necessarily mean it was the right person, though. It doesn't necessarily mean it was the right person. Now,
equal partnerships don't work. The man needs to be superior. And in fact, he is superior to Giselle. Why? Because he's literally a living legend. Yeah, one could argue that Giselle Bündchen is also a living legend, right? But there's a difference between a living legend model, she was just genetically gifted, versus Tom Brady, who is not only genetically gifted, but has to perform day in, day out and be great constantly. And he's done it for decades. It's different.
objectively you could look at that and be like, yeah, like tick, 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 tick. But I don't know the inner workings of that relationship. I don't know what the
I know what the inner workings are. It's very simple. Tom is supposed to be the alpha, but his wife tells him what to do because she feels that she's superior to him. And he has to take it. And when he didn't take it, again, here's what I think. I think that she was ruling the roost, and he tried to stay away from her as much as possible and be in football because he felt miserable at home. And that's why he unretired twice.
The insights were. Like, a lot of women like still choose, like, it looks right, and a lot of women marry right, and men do the same thing, but it doesn't mean it is right. Like, so yeah, like I'm still going to kind of go with what I was saying earlier, but there is this other thing that can happen as well. And sometimes people do change in relationships, okay? And that does change the course of the outcome of that relationship, and that's not something you're necessarily going to be able to see ahead of time.
Sorry guys, I just kind of hallucinated and I couldn't, like, I lost what she was saying. Okay, let's move on to the Rollo Tomassi. She's just talking so much, and it's so much garbage that like doesn't mean anything that I literally zoned out. Sorry. Okay, anyway, this is the quick fix by Rollo Tomassi. Becoming the captain of my boat dropped this comment on the This Is Now thread. I found the RP about 1.5 years ago. I've been working on applying things in my life, and for the most part, things are going well. Most of the articles, though, are about what to avoid, what to look out for, what to think about women when you're in your 20s. The difficult thing is now being aware and seeing it all around you and being married. I see the Sandberg quote, I hear it all the time from women in one form or another, and then my wife says similar crap, like she dated the bad boys or had to find herself. Now I'm like, crap, I'm the nice guy she married. I don't want to be that guy. I was the asshole in college. What the hell happened to me, and how do I fix it quick? But there is no quick. Once you're in this, it's an uphill battle, a necessary one, but an uphill battle nonetheless. I read The Rational Male, I've read a number of the books, but it gets tricky when you're already in it. My wife isn't a terrible person, and I can see firsthand how all this applies to her, but she isn't malicious. This is subconscious crap reinforced by all her surroundings. Hell, my own betaization was subconscious crap reinforced by my surroundings. I can say without a doubt that if you're not already in a long-term relationship or married, and you're longer than 30 to 35, don't get in one. Read this stuff, make yourself a better man, sleep around and find yourself. Then you can get into a long-term relationship. Because it's much harder to take control of a ship and right the course with your now demoted wife. Psychologically kicking and screaming than it is to captain a boat from the get-go and then to find a hot, willing first mate along the way when you're already a seasoned, salty captain. Absolutely, absolutely true. That's why, again, I recommend you get an end count of 50 plus. And you wait till you're 35 to get married, if you choose to get married, which I think is a stupid idea in 2023. Look at Tom Brady. He can only speak for himself, of course, but captain situation is not an uncommon one. Far too many men discover too late that the great relationship they swore they had with their wives was founded on their having fulfilled a blue pill set of achievements. This belief is part of the plan hypergamy had intended for him to follow, but as women's bedroom fund strategies become more visible, he begins to see the code in the matrix he's been a willing participant of. The machinations of hypergamy are unignorable, or soon will be. But it's one thing to be single and young enough to be able to leverage that plan to your own benefit when you still have the options and maneuverability to do so. It's quite another to become aware of your own participation in it once you're committed legally, emotionally, and familiarly to going along with the plan. For men, one of the most unfortunate consequences of open hypergamy is the degree of comfort their wives have in revealing the part that their husbands played in their bedroom fun strategy. As I've mentioned in prior posts, in a previous social order, it was simply a matter of course that women should keep the mechanics of hypergamy secret in the long term. Amongst themselves, women were very open and frank about their bedroom fun exploits, both in the short term and the long term. I've always been convinced that women's insistence on proliferating the trope of men's locker room talk or humble bragging about their bedroom fun conquest is a distraction from their own peer clutch groups congratulating themselves on the success of their own bedroom fun strategy. In a prior social climate, keeping these henhouse hypergamous revolutions to themselves made sense. There was little point to informing the men they depended upon for parental investment and security that they were really the best available option to be a means to their end. Not so in the present social climate. There is an eager brazenness on the part of wives to openly explain the part of their husbands and the part they played in their hypergamy. I'd attribute most of this to a social climate that encourages women to believe they have nothing to lose by doing so. I also call it beta torture. But there's also a want to participate in the single woman peer clutch that has openly embraced revealing the ins and outs of hypergamy publicly. It's a rough transition for men to have their BP idealisms dispelled by the RP community, but it's far more devastating for men steeped in BP merit badge accomplishments to have their wives openly confirm what the RP aware have been trying to awaken in him for some time. Open hypergamy isn't just a game for single women. It's made its way into contemporary marriages. It's now part of the egalitarian equalist expectation of men in marriage that in order for men to truly be men worthy of marrying a co-equal modern woman, he must dispose of any notion of ownership of her, forgive the worst of her hypergamous indiscretions as part of her finding herself, and then accept his role as plan B. All of this comes with no expectation of any reciprocal value on a woman's part. In fact, to believe so is tantamount to marital taking advantage. I see the Sandberg quote, I hear it all the time, and how do I fix it quick? This is the revelation men in the situation find themselves in. Even the men who may have fulfilled the role of great living for women in their 20s can still find their role may have shifted to that of non-threatening relationship material guy who should never have bedroom fun with on the night she met him. Now granted, all this comes back to the subconscious expectation of C-star CKing women place on the men they cast in the passive supportive role. Women don't expect the beta bucks men they pair with to ever be the alpha seed men their biochemistry predisposes them to want to sleep with. But great dad must believe he was chosen as the best option. Her best choice for the balance of the two. Only later, once she's consolidated on him with family, children, financial and professional liabilities, is she comfortable in letting him know how the game was really played. As I said, the truth of that is hard enough to hear from the RP writers on the internet, but to have it viscerally confirmed by a wife without the social filters of an older social climate is much harder to swallow. The fix is in. That sounds like an awful lot of gloom and doom, doesn't it? I can't speak for Captain, but a woman delivering the confirmation that a guy is really a BP consolation prize is rarely couched in so melodramatic and sinister delivery. I've had many men relate similar stories as Captain's, and none of them were screaming confessions of deceit on the part of their wives. Most were simply matter-of-fact comments in passing that aligned with their suspicions. I'd hate to harp on Pixar's Inside Out cartoon, but it's the simple, everyday, open hypergamy that goes unnoticed by the BP idealists. It takes an RP lens to even be sensitive to it. But when you see how casually the wife or mother in this movie fantasizes about her widowed alpha, the alpha fantasy she couldn't consolidate on, and how frustrated she is every time a beta husband fails a crap test, you begin to understand the passive nature of an overt hypergamy in women. Okay, back to the video here.
See, here's what I think is happening, because it's the same effect that it's a follow-on effect, anyways, of the same dynamic that happened with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Okay, when they first got, by the way, I was covering that since 2014, like before they got married, and I can remember a time where women were just demonizing Johnny Depp, saying he's a monster, he's an asshole. And when the divorce was going down, that was our opinion, that he couldn't get work, he couldn't be Jack Sparrow anymore. And then suddenly, after we have the civil suit and the defamation suit, now it comes to light that, well, actually, he's really kind of a blue pill alpha. He's just sort of a chump who happened to believe in be very like emotionalist, let's just say.
Johnny Depp is an example of a natural alpha, a guy that never had to learn the reality of the world. And then he became a superstar, a rock star, basically. He became a famous actor. And women just like him because that's women's nature. They're hypergamous. They want a superior man. So even though he has an idiotic belief set, even though he's stupid, basically, he's good because he's a useful idiot, right? So there you go.
But we wanted to take Amber Heard. In fact, some people are still taking Amber Heard's side.
Well, there was a court.
Right now.
There was a civil court in the UK that found in her favor and basically just stated that he beat her with no evidence. Yeah. They found him guilty. That's essentially what happened, and it was incredible. I'll show you news articles from ABC Australia where they were like, I can't believe anyone would ever support what's his name? What can't I remember?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. And then the trial comes out and he mollywops her. Turns out none of it was true.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because we tend to look, when we look at situations like this, we look at it from a female-specific perspective right away. It's the same thing that happened when Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Bezos got divorced.
Right. So again, the point is this. The point is, the point is that, like, people like Johnny Depp are useful idiots, and because we live in such a femme-centric society, girls can just lie and still come out on top, right? And again, the only way to evade this negative consequence is to have lots of money, effectively. You know, to have the money to pay the lawyers to protect you, right?
The first thing out of any woman's mouth was, well, she deserves that money, whatever she's
No,
going to
she
get. They
doesn't.
didn't even know what the settlement was going to be at that time. It was $33 billion. And of course, Jeff Bezos was like, all right, here you go. Right? $33 billion, with a B, billion dollars.
Yeah, he made her one of the richest people on the planet.
And she became the 5th richest woman in the world as a result of that divorce. The reason why women wanted to say, well, she deserves that because she was there from the beginning and she...
By the way, did you notice the little laugh as she became the one of the most wealthy people on earth because of the divorce? Women understand how favored divorce is in 2023. They understand. They want, like, how favored marriage is. They want you to get into a marriage with them. Because if you do, you're her meal ticket for the rest of her life, right? So again, I don't know how I could possibly recommend that you get married in 2023.
He helped him get Amazon off the ground and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, if she were to take all of her holdings and all the money that she has and all of the equity that she had in Amazon and pulled it out of Amazon, it would in no way amount to $33 billion. That is a divorce settlement. So the first thing we think of is, well, she deserves it. She went through hell. There must have been some reason why she filed for divorce. 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women. There is a reason for that. And of course, the first thing out of any woman's mouth is, well, the guy must have been a dick. There must have been something that was wrong with him. There must have been some abuse. He must not have held up his end of the bargain, whatever else, when in fact, statistically, most marriages don't last longer than 5. If they're going to get divorced, it usually ends between 5 and 9 years. And usually, as I said before, between the ages of like 29 and average age of first marriage for men is like about 30 years old. For women, it's about 28. Just enough time to squeeze out a baby and get back into the sexual market once again. And we see that across the board historically since 1960. It has always been that as
overall bedroom fund strategy. You know, I didn't even think about this. That's why 28 is the age of first marriage, because they can get married, have a kid, and divorce, and still be young enough to get married with a quote-unquote better guy, right? They still have another chance at an alpha. That's why. So they're guaranteeing that the genes get passed on, but they're not happy, and so they want a superior man. I see. That's very insidious. All right. Oops. Sorry, guys. I just closed the tab that I wanted to read. Okay, here we go. Posted 11 hours ago from relationship advice. My 24 girlfriend, who's also 24, so the guy is 24 and the girl's 24, is blaming me for getting fired. We've been living together for the past 6 months. About 2 months in, I realized her sleeping schedule is a bit worrisome. She sleeps 12 to 15 hours a day, and then she'd say she's tired when she's awake. I was worried something was wrong, but she assured me she just feels tired. She works from home, so she could, at some point, accommodate her sleep with work. But then she received warnings from work that she's usually not active and needs to get it together. She asked me to wake her up, and I genuinely, truly tried my best. She does not wake up until she's had a good 15 hours of sleep. I just kept wasting 10 to 20 minutes trying to wake her daily, to absolutely no avail, so I just stopped. Now she got fired because at work they know she's ghosting. She's super furious at me because I didn't wake her up as I said I'd do. I explained to her it was futile trying. She just didn't wake up at all. I asked her to go see a doctor, a therapist, or literally any professional to see if something's wrong. She ignored everything I said and did. And now I'm to blame. She's really angry. She's accusing me of essentially destroying her life. I don't really understand. Does she have a point? Why are you living with this girl? She's an anchor. Get out of there. Okay, top comment. She needs to see a doctor. Sleeping 12 to 15 hours a day is not normal. This is not your fault. Okay, yeah, 85 upvotes. It sounds like your GF has some serious issues that she needs to address, and it's not your fault that she got fired. You tried your best to wake her up, but she was the one who chose to ignore her work and sleep all day. That's not healthy or normal, and she might have depression or some other condition that affects her energy levels. She should go see a doctor or therapist ASAP, and you should encourage her to do so. But don't let her blame you or guilt trip you for something that's out of your control. 254 upvotes. It's really scary that you'd be asking if she has a point. What point would that be? It's not your job to be her parent. How long had you been dating before moving in together? It sounds like this happened way too soon, which is never a good thing. We'd been together for slightly less than a year and a half before moving in. Okay. 96 upvotes. It's really scary that you'd be asking if she has a point. Wake up, man. How are you at fault here? She's an adult, not really by her behavior. How can you even doubt that she's 100% in the wrong here? Don't allow her nor yourself to treat you like a doormat. Either she has a medical condition, a mental condition, or she's lazy as, you know. Either way, it's neither your fault nor your responsibility. The only wrong thing that you're doing is allowing her to behave like that with you and around you. I know for a fact that I won't be dating a girl like that and getting mad at me because she can't get out of bed. Insta dump to the streets. Based advice. Alright, guys, we're going to end the video there. Again, if you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon with exclusive content, newly revamped, posting weekly content. Patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just go there and subscribe. You could also drop me a donation like Adrian R and Tom M. Shoutouts to you guys. Really appreciate it. Again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy to listen to my video, especially if you listen to the end. You guys are wonderful, and I will see you next time.